In a small, quiet town, one woman's life changed forever in a moment of injustice. What began as a routine encounter turned into a nightmare when a police officer, fueled by prejudice, accused her of something she didn't do. The humiliation was sharp, the words cutting, and she knew this wasn't just about her. It was about something much bigger. Mocked and dismissed, she stood there, feeling the weight of history and a system that seemed unshakable. But instead of crumbling, she decided to fight back. What followed was a journey filled with courage, resilience, and the unwavering belief that justice must prevail. Facing an uphill battle, she turned her pain into power, her humiliation into action. Little did anyone know, she was about to spark a change that would echo far beyond her town. What happened next would leave a mark on history, and you won't believe how it unfolded. She was no stranger to the subtle glances, the whispered assumptions, and the invisible barriers people like her faced every day. But this was different. The officer didn't just question her. He made it clear he saw her as less than human. The accusations came fast, each one more outlandish than the last. She stood there, heart racing, trying to find the right words, but they caught in her throat. The crowd that had gathered wasn't helping. Some looked on with pity, others with silent approval of the officer's actions. She felt small, powerless, at least for a moment. As the hours dragged on, the weight of what had happened began to sink in. This wasn't just about her innocence, it was about the message this officer was sending to everyone watching. That's when she made a decision. If no one else would stand up, she would. But how? That night, she couldn't sleep. The officer's words replayed in her mind, each one cutting deeper than the last. She thought about her family, her friends, and all the times they'd shared stories of quiet injustices, moments where they'd been forced to bite their tongues and move on. But this time, she couldn't just let it go. She knew the risks. People would call her dramatic, or worse, accuse her of lying. Yet something inside her refused to stay silent. The next day, she started to piece together everything that had happened. She spoke to witnesses, some hesitant, others eager to share their shock at what they'd seen. She combed through the local laws, learning her rights, and found an ally, a lawyer who believed in her cause. But while she prepared for a fight, the officer wasn't backing down. Behind the scenes, rumors swirled and the stakes grew higher. The question was, who would be believed? As the days turned into weeks, her fight became the talk of the town. Some stood with her, calling her brave for speaking out against the injustice she faced. Others whispered behind her back, questioning her motives or warning her to let it go. The officer, on the other hand, remained defiant, portraying himself as the victim of unfounded accusations. The tension between them felt like a storm about to break, and everyone was watching to see what would happen next. Her lawyer uncovered new evidence, details that cast doubt on the officer's version of events. With each piece that surfaced, her confidence grew, but so did the pressure. People began showing up at her house, some offering support, others trying to intimidate her into silence. The closer she got to exposing the truth, the more she realized how much was at stake. This wasn't just about one moment anymore, it was about changing everything. The tipping point was near. Just as she felt the momentum shifting in her favor, a shocking discovery turned everything upside down. A video surfaced, grainy, but clear enough to show the officer's confrontation with her. At first, it seemed like the breakthrough she had been waiting for. The clip showed his aggressive tone and the way he dismissed her calm explanations. But then something unexpected happened. Parts of the video were missing, spliced together in a way that painted her as the one at fault. The release of the edited footage spread quickly, sparking debates online and dividing public opinion even further. Some people now saw her as a troublemaker, while others questioned the integrity of the evidence itself. She couldn't believe how far someone would go to discredit her. With the stakes higher than ever, she knew this wasn't just about her fight anymore. It was about exposing a system willing to rewrite the truth to protect its own. With the edited video fueling doubt, she knew the only way forward was to uncover the full, unaltered truth. Digging deeper, her lawyer uncovered a critical lead. The original footage still existed, buried in the archives of a local security system. It took weeks of persistence, legal filings, and public pressure, but they finally obtained it. The unedited footage painted a completely different picture. It showed the officer's unfair treatment, the baseless accusations, and her calm composure throughout. When the original video was released, it spread like wildfire, silencing many of her critics. The officer's credibility crumbled, and an internal investigation exposed a troubling pattern in his behavior. But just when it seemed justice had been served, she uncovered something even more shocking. A network of others who had faced similar treatment but had never been able to speak up. Her fight didn't just clear her name, it started a movement no one saw coming. The movement she started grew faster than she could have imagined. People from all walks of life began sharing their own stories, many of which had been buried in silence for years. Her courage inspired others to demand accountability, and soon policies were being questioned, rewritten, and enforced more strictly. The officer was removed from his position, and the department launched reforms to address the systemic issues that had allowed such behavior to persist. For her, the journey was far from easy, but it proved that standing up for what's right could spark real change. The weight she had carried was lifted, not just because she had cleared her name, but because she had opened the door for others to do the same. As she looked back on everything, she realized her fight wasn't just about justice, it was about hope, resilience, and the power of one voice to make history.